Thank you for calling eBay. This is Blake speaking. All right, so when you go in and try to list this, what is the error message that you're getting? So here's what we're going to do. I just got to go through one quick verification process with you. Once we get that completed, I'll absolutely be able to get this taken care of. And are you a first, second, third, junior, or senior, anything like that?
No.
Okay, perfect.
I don't take any titles or anything like that, or positions.
Oh, right. That's what I was asking, is if there was a suffix. You know what? Do you have a different address I could try, maybe?
What, other than the one on record? No.
Right.
No.
Okay. What about date of birth?
No one knows their date of birth that I know of. I've never heard of anyone that actually knows for certain their date of birth because they were not competent mentally at the time that they were born to even know that. So what we're going off of is hearsay. Do you agree?
No, I do not.
Well, wait a minute now. Wait a second. Because you and I, in order to come to an honest conclusion here about any of these questions is, if you know, I mean, are you willing to go up in a court of law and state unequivocally that you were born on a certain date based on your own firsthand knowledge?
I don't follow where you're going with this. This is a verification process.
Right. Do you know what the word verification means? Right. The word verification means truth. Verification comes from veritas, which is Latin for truth. And so in order to get the truth, I don't have firsthand knowledge of that event, and I've never met anyone that has firsthand knowledge of their own birth.
Most people don't. That would be kind of strange if they did. Okay, let's try something else here. Okay, how about this? I'm not pulling anything up under that, so what is the name you were told to go by?
I don't understand that question. I'm not told to go by any names.
So what is the first and last name on your driver's license?
I don't have a driver's license.
Your birth certificate?
Okay, now that's a legal question. I'm not an attorney.
So this is all based on old tax information.
A birth certificate is a certified copy of a document that Vital Records actually created, and I do not have permission to use that document. A birth certificate is something that actually has a copyright on it. And
I'm sorry, but just...
I'm not an attorney. I don't have permission to practice at the bar. Hence, I do not have any legal authority to do or be involved with any legal thing. And when you speak of a driver's license, a birth certificate, these sorts of things, one must have legal permission to use those legally created items.
So, no, that's not what I'm asking for.
Okay. Okay.
Not at all. I'm not a legal attorney by any stretch of the imagination either.
Well, you were asking for a birth certificate, so again...
No, I'm asking for the name on your birth certificate. I'm not asking for your birth certificate. I'm asking for the name.
I got you. Well, here's the thing. The name on the birth certificate was actually created and is currently owned by a state. And within that state, a sub-corporation called Vital Records owns that. And I cannot use either the name or the birth certificate or anything on that document without express written legal permission from the authors of the birth certificate. Birth certificates are legal documents. Only attorneys can use those.
So I'm very knowledgeable about all of those. I'm not asking for your birth certificate.
You're asking for a name on the birth certificate, which is what
was the name you were given when you were born?
Okay. Well, here's
we're making this way too complicated. I'm asking very simple, basic questions. I'm not able to go through this verification thing, and until I can do that, you wouldn't be able to sell anything. It's all based
Okay, tax information. Taxes are a legal process, and I'm not involved in that. Again, I'm not an attorney, and let me tell you something. Right, but listen to this. I've actually called Vital Records and asked for written permission to both request and use the birth certificate and the name thereon, okay, in order to do a driver's license, tax information, passports, these kind of things. And they have staunchly refused to allow me to use their property, which is the birth certificate is a certified copy of their property. They have staunchly refused to allow me to use any of that legal information because I do not have a bar card. I'm not an attorney.
It is not new information for me, and these are not legal questions.
Okay, when you say taxes and driver's license, those are legal questions. Taxes, you have to be legally involved with the legal system to do taxes.
No, sir. What I stated was that this is all pulled from old tax information.
Yeah, but I don't have old tax information. That would require a legal person and a birth certificate, and I can't use those.
So you can't use a legal person, and you cannot use a birth certificate?
Not without written permission from the authors of the birth certificate, which are actually attorneys within Vital Records. Right, and they won't, and I've actually spoken to several of them, and they will not provide that written permission.
I'm sorry, I can't help you, because we can't verify anything with this account.
What do you mean verify? I'm verifying right now. I'm telling you the truth right now. You're saying verify, you're saying tell the truth. So that's what I'm doing. What you're trying to do is you're trying to get me to commit fraud by claiming a legal entity that I don't. Now, if it's at a birth certificate, that's what you're trying to do. You're trying to get me to use something that I don't own. That's any information on the birth certificate. Do you realize you cannot file taxes without a birth certificate? Here's what you do. If you yourself file taxes, what you're doing is you are using a juristic persona, which is the name at the birth certificate, and you're illegally representing that as your own in order to pay those taxes. The only people who can do that legally are those who are authorized at the bar to do so. Those would be bar attorneys. And so what you're saying is, because I will not agree to use or to illegally use a birth certificate, that you cannot confirm this account. That's what I'm getting from you as an eBay representative. You are looking for a legal agreement from me, and I cannot do anything legal.
No, sir, I'm not looking for a legal agreement at all. So when I run that, I'm not able to pull up anything that matches the information that you gave me in our system. And until I'm able to do that, I wouldn't be able to help get the account verified.
Right? You're seeing that. That's what I put in there. Is there anyone saying that this is somehow not true?
It's not anyone other than our system that is not able to match the information with what you've given me.
I'm a living being telling you this, what it is, the truth, and you're listening to a machine instead?
Right.
Okay. So what does that make you?
A person is trying to do their job.
Yeah, but you're listening to a machine, or you're reading a machine. It's not alive.
Going by policy.
Well, your policy, it sounds like, is involved, is attempting to aid and abet other people in fraud. Because anyone who uses anything legal, and you're looking for some kind of legal information by your earlier question for a birth certificate and driver's license.
No, I never asked you for your birth certificate or driver's license.
Yeah, you're looking for the legal. On the birth certificate is a legal entity at the legal name section. The child's name. That's a legal entity that has nothing to do with a human being. If it did, then we wouldn't have to be buying copies of a birth certificate from Vital Records. They would just give them to us. eBay's policy requires people to commit legal fraud. by using legal persons created by vital records for which they have no legal authority to do. By the way, this phone call is being recorded. I'm going to be sharing it. And also,
eBay does not permit the calls to be recorded.
That's fine. There's not much you can do about it.
That's fine.
But here's the deal. You need to go take a look at a site called losethename.com, or you can just Google legal name fraud. When you say you're just doing your job, it means that you're not conscious of what you're doing. You're doing what you're told without any authentic, critical thought on your own part.
The insult is not appreciated, so is there anything else I can help you out with today?
That's not an insult, it's an observation. If you're just doing your job, it means that and what you're doing is you're trying to aid and abet me into using a driver's license or a birth certificate in order for you to authenticate or verify something within your corporate policy. And you're not going to allow people who refuse to commit legal name fraud and birth certificate fraud to be a part of the eBay community. So only criminals can be part of eBay community.
No, it's we're trying to do total opposite from that.
I gave you a name, and that's all there is to it. You're not finding it in your corporate database of corporate names because it's not on the birth certificate. It's not on the birth certificate. It's not a registered name. It is not owned by the state of corporation. And for that reason, your company doesn't have jurisdiction legally over it. And that's why they don't want me as an eBay member, it sounds like. They only want to deal with things that are corporate owned. A driver's license is excellent evidence of corporate ownership of that person. So if I were to provide you a driver's license, it would well indicate that I have committed birth certificate and legal name fraud. eBay is not, or its agents rather, are not going to force me to break the law. And if I use a birth certificate or the name thereon, that is copyright infringement, and eBay attorneys very well know this. Do you have legal counsel perhaps I could talk to about this?
I have a legal counsel you can write to with an address.
Oh yeah, they don't like to talk on the phone because it might be recorded.
So these lines are recorded already.
Oh yeah, well I record all my phone calls, definitely. I put them up on the internet. Part of what I do is expose the birth certificate and legal name fraud. It's a scam since 1933. So you can't buy or sell anything without the mark of the beast being commerce, and the mark being the legal name or the birth certificate.
Okay. Well, here's what I can do. I can go ahead and give you that information to write to if you would prefer that.
Actually, I can't write. I'm not into witchcraft. So I don't do writes and spells.
You don't have a name. You've never done taxes. So
well, no one can own a name. Listen, actually, I am or a point of reference.
Correct.
But it's not. Listen, it's
unable to pull anything with that. So is there anything else I can help you out with?
You're unable to pull a corporate name from that. Right. Yeah, because you only deal with legal stuff. So how is that not also, isn't that practicing law without a license on your part? You're only doing legal stuff? You only want legal stuff?
Again, I stated earlier, I'm not an attorney by any stretch, nor am I claiming to be, nor am I trying to practice law of any sort.
Then why were you asking for a driver's license, which is a legal document?
Again, I never asked for a driver's license. I asked for the name that was on that.
Yeah, okay, well, that would be the legal name.
I myself multiple times.
Right, the name on the driver's license is on the legal document called the birth certificate.
So if there's nothing else I can help you out with, I'd like to thank you for taking the time to call in today.
The name on a driver's license is a legal name. It is illegal for you to be asking for that. You are not an attorney. You cannot ask for legal names. Does that make sense?
Is there anything else I can help you out with?
Yeah, answer the question. Does that make sense?
I've answered all the questions there are for you.
Well, you were asking for a legal name on a driver's license. So how do you do that without a license and not break the law? It sounds like you're breaking the law or attempting to. Or you're attempting to get me to break the law, too.
Again, I'm not attempting to do anything else on here. Is there anything else I can help you out with?
Yeah. What kind of name? It sounds like eBay only accepts names that are registered with Vital Records. Is that correct?
I don't even know what Bottle Records is.
Yeah, you do. You're in California, aren't you? You sound like you're in California.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what Vital Records is, because that's where you had to go to get a birth certificate to even have the job that you're in right now.
So, again, is there...
Yeah, this is what I need to know. This is ID verification process as far as you're concerned, so I need to know, does eBay only accept names, legal names, that are on a birth certificate when it comes to registering for eBay to become a seller?
Again, these...
I mean, you're looking for a name. You're looking for a name. So what I want to know is any name other than the ones on a birth certificate acceptable to eBay in terms of being a seller on eBay?
If it's something we can verify that it's within the system, that is something that is totally acceptable. How that is pulled, how that information gets back to me is not something I control. I look to see if the information matches. I ask questions to see if the information matches between what I'm looking at and then the information that you give me.
Right. Well,
if that information is it's not cohesive, it's not the same thing, then I can't verify the account. Or I can't, let me rephrase that. I can't match the information on the account.
Okay.
And that's what I'm not able to do right now. I've tried any and everything else that I can with this.
How would that help, a different address?
I might be able to match different information using that.
Yeah, because most people identify, they link to their address as a driver's license or something similar, passport. All these things are derived from what's called a breeder document called a birth certificate. Yeah, everything that you ask, and it sounds like you don't know about all this, but everything that you're asking, it goes right back to the birth certificate. The birth certificate evidences title or ownership of that name, and that title is held by the state of, and you can just fill in the blank for whatever state. And this is just fact, and I've already verified this for myself. You can never get title to that name. You can only get a copy, and you have to commit fraud, copyright infringement, to even get that copy. And so, this has been a learning experience for me, because what's been demonstrated is that eBay will only deal with people who are willing to commit legal name fraud by using a birth certificate to generate legal ID, which allows them to have or use legal addresses and engage with legal utility companies. So you guys are looking...
It sounds like we're at an impasse here, and there's nothing else I can do at this point. So...
Sure, you can just accept the truth.
And have a wonderful rest of the day.
You can accept the truth and look into this, because, until you take control of your own mind and stop just doing your job, you're going to remain unconscious. And do you want to remain unconscious?
Again, we've gone over this a million times.
Do you want to be conscious?
Again, we've gone over this. At this point, there's not much else I can do.
Well, you can just answer that question. Do you want to be conscious?
Again, nothing else I can do at this moment.
Do you want to be awake?
There's nothing else I can do at this moment.
Okay, so then that means you want to stay asleep and unconscious and just do your job for your masters, which are attorneys, by the way.
Is there anything else I can help you with today?
Yeah. Just work on being awake going forward. You know, it's up to you to change the world. And if you want a better world, you got to be better change. You got to be the change. And the way to do that is to be educated. So search out legal name fraud. And that's all I have to say.
All right. Well, thank you for taking the time to call in today.
All right. Talk to you later, maybe. Bye now.
All right.